Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Saints lost yesterday, right?
You know, at least Spencer Rattler gave us some hope. That's my view. He gave us some hope. God. Hey, we almost beat the Commanders. They're a good team. We almost beat them. Alvin Kamara, I don't know if you saw it, made an incredible one-handed catch. So, you know what?
Just like when I thought there wasn't a reason to live. Thanks.
At least my team doesn't have players leaving in the middle of the game saying they don't want to play anymore. I am happy.
Yeah, they put him on the suspended list.
They suspended him for 3 games.
Well, that's the whole season. So. Well, the bottom line is, if you get rid of him, nobody's going to pick him up.
No.
Nobody. But nobody will pick him up. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to say it straight out. I mean, would you pick up a guy that does
No,
that? He's
I would
in
not
uniform,
touch him.
eligible to play, and he tells them, no, I'm not going to play.
And the reason he got annoyed is because Dre Greenlaw came back, which he's like the heartbeat of that defense. He's been out for 2 years because of an Achilles injury. That he, by the way, tore in the Super Bowl at the most inopportune moment I've ever seen.
It's Greenlaw's job.
Yeah.
Okay,
he was filling in for him.
I mean, come on.
He was told basically before the season, you're going to play until Greenlaw comes back, and he said, cool. And then it happened, and he got mad. Ridiculous. So with that out of the way, the Penn State news going on right now.
Sure.
Broke yesterday. Beau is entering the transfer portal and is leaving the team ahead of this college football playoff. He cited the overlapping college ball playoff and transfer portal timeline. So before we get to the Beau side of it and the in-game aspect of things, the portal and the playoffs and bowl games, they do overlap.
Yeah, they do overlap. And so now I want to make this statement about, you would think that a college system with college brain power behind it, right? Mm-hmm. You'd be able to put together a system that worked.
Sure.
This is unquestionably, in sports, the single stupidest system I've ever seen in my life. Right? And I've said it before, so it's not like I'm saying anything out of turn. None of this makes sense. And I go back to Letter of Intent Day. Why is Letter of Intent Day the week of the championship game? Letter of Intent Day, you have basketball that for 30 years has had early signing period in November, the second Wednesday in November. And it works. You don't have anybody in football, anybody in football saying, since that works, I wonder if we can make it work. Because when do you sign in basketball? Before your senior season starts. You're in training camp. And nobody thought that system works? Well, no, we don't want to do that. We want to do our own thing. College football, to its credit, is run by a group of idiots. It really is.
I know.
There's no common sense as to what they do. The calendar makes no sense. It never has made any sense. It never has. You've got the late signing period the first Wednesday in February. Okay, anybody doesn't want to sign the first Wednesday in August can keep their name in there. And believe me, people will be clamoring to get you if you're really good. Or you could be in a situation like, let's take Kevin Jennings. Kevin Jennings, his offer was going to go to Missouri State. Rhett Lashley takes the job at SMU. They're recruiting other players in a game that he's playing at, and Lashley finally looks at the other coach and says, why don't we look at the quarterback? I like him. And they get him to go to SMU. That's the kind of guy you get in the late signing period. Venga Ioane was a late signing period guy.
Yeah.
He was going to go to Washington, decided not to. Coaching changes, things like that. He ends up going to Penn State. He's a late signing. Tariq Castro-Fields was a late signing period guy. You know, so you have a system where after 4 games you can opt out. And how many guys did we see after 4 games this year go, nah, I'm not going to play anymore? Now, there's certain times where the guy's going to do it, but he's staying with the program. Brinson, the wide receiver for SMU, played 4 games. They decided to redshirt him. Well, now that they're in the postseason, he can play. And he played against Clemson, and he's going to play on Saturday. All right? So that situation does come up. But that was an agreed thing between the program and the player.
Then you have the UNLV quarterback who opts out of the season after 3 games, I think, which is a different circumstance for NIL. But the fact that you can then do that is a whole other aspect of this.
The entire system makes no sense. I can understand having a transfer portal after spring practice. I think that's correct. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I realize that you do run into the next semester. That I do understand.
Mm-hmm.
But there's got to be a way to work these things out.
And as things stand, the portal opens up. It opened up on December 9th. So it opens up after the championship games and closes before Christmas. It closes the December 28th, which for all purposes, for Beau Pribula's purpose, you want to get in there early.
Sure.
Because you want to be able to then get the best job openings that there are. Because if someone sees Beau Pribula in there, if let's say it's another Power 5 school in the Big Ten or SEC or wherever, and they think they need a quarterback, and they want to go get somebody, they're going to want the best name out there, and they're going to get them first. Whoever the best is, they're going to get them and take them and scoop them up immediately.
Absolutely.
And it's like the head coaching cycle. A lot of the time you'll see teams fire coaches early in the season or midway through to be the first in line to get a new coach next season. They want the best opportunity to get somebody. That's what a lot of the time you see in the NFL, is you'll see people let go early so you don't have to wait until midway through the offseason to then find someone when there's no one available. When Ben Johnson, for example, is now off the table. So you're Beau Pribula, you enter after a few days, there is a lot of opportunities out there. But if he entered after the playoff game, for instance, between 21st and 28th, there's probably less opportunities out there, less strong Power 5 schools for him to go to, because he's a Power 5 caliber quarterback. Right. Like, he would be screwing himself to take a longer time. So I don't fault him, and no one should be faulting Beau Pribula for this.
First of all, if you've been around Beau, which I've been around him a lot, you instantly become a big fan of Beau. I hope wherever he goes, he has great success. I do. I hope wherever he goes, he has great success. He's been here for 3 years. I really personally like him a lot. And I was not surprised with how he played in the Wisconsin game at all, and I told him that.
He played well.
Right? Now, the other story, of course, now is that people are like, well, does that mean something about Drew? Well, Pete Thamel put out the story. Sources: Penn State star quarterback Drew Aller has informed the school's coaching staff of his intention to return for his senior year in 25.
Which, of course, would be major for a lot of reasons. It would mean Drew Aller has another year to get better. He's someone who people were high on coming into the season, played really well this year, and now puts himself into a prime position to, this coming year, not only get better and improve, can win again with Penn State, and then also, selfishly for himself, improve his draft stock. Like, he's going to put himself in that conversation next season as one of the top quarterbacks.
I mean, if you know the Aller family, which I'll be honest with you, during the course of the season, I have really gotten to know, especially Drew's dad, mom to a point, but Drew's dad, you would love this family. I mean, the grandparents, the parents, the sister, I mean, the whole group, you're like, they're just like really solid, no ego people. Like, it's like Drew. No, Drew has no ego. Like, none. Like, you're one of the top quarterbacks in the country. Okay, I am. It's like Warren. We need you to play guard. Okay. Okay, that's fine. I can do it. So, now you got to get ready for one. Look, what this creates is a lot of outside noise temporarily. This whole week is about one thing and one thing only. That is SMU. Okay? That means Ethan Grunkemeyer is going to be the backup quarterback. Highly talented, no game reps. Okay. But he's highly talented. You watch Grunk practice, you're like, okay, Grunk's got a lot going for him. Okay? I'm impressed when I see him. The coaching staff, which knows more than I do, is impressed when they watch him. Right? And I'm sorry, but I mean, I'm going to be one of the guys that does a show like this that admits, like, the coaches know more than I do. I've said this a billion times. Okay? James Franklin, I know a lot about football. James Franklin knows more than me. I know a lot about basketball. Mike Rhodes knows more than I do.
Yeah.
Okay? When it comes to doing this, I know more than they do. A lot of you debate that, but that's, that's a different story. Okay? So, the whole thing is about SMU. Beau's been getting, and Beau has been getting approximately 5 to 10 reps per game. And that's about what he's been getting. So you have to figure out, Andy does, okay, what direction do I want to go in those 5 to 10 reps? 5, 6, 7 reps a game out of the 68 you might get. You're going to get maybe 68 plays in a game. Okay? Beau is, okay, so how do you get reps 63 or 62 through 68? How do you go about that? Do you use Tyler Warren? Do you just scrap that part of it? Is there something else you come up with? Whatever. They've got a lot of options as to how they want to do it. They just won't have Beau to do it. Okay? And Andy, of course, knows how to work around all these things. He's, same thing with James. They know how to work around that. Now let's get to one of the key stats of the day.
Okay.
Currently in State College, it is 34 degrees.
Yeah.
With snow on the ground.
You would be correct.
Currently in Dallas, it is 73.
Ooh. That's nice.
The temperature tomorrow in Dallas is 72.
That's cold, Steve. It's real cold.
Okay? On Friday, when they get to leave, it'll be the coldest day they've had in Dallas all week. 58. Saturday, high 28. Wind chill 20.
And a chance for snow currently.
All right. Now, nobody likes playing in cold weather. Okay? I don't care if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? I mean, what does it tell you the Vikings and the Lions play indoors? The Chicago Bears, well, the Bears are a bad example and not a good team.
Packers.
Okay, the Green Bay Packers, okay? Playing in cold weather. Do you think they like playing in cold weather? No, but do they view it in their own minds as an advantage? Sure. Sure. Kansas City. Kansas City played Miami last year in the game that nobody got a chance to watch.
And it helped Kansas City.
Right? And Miami couldn't handle it. Miami couldn't handle it. I mean, really couldn't handle it. I'll give you an example. Colin Rogers is an excellent kicker for SMU. And I'm talking about he has a bomb for a leg. I've never in my career of going through and getting ready for games have seen this stat. He is 15 of 21 in field goals this season beyond 40 yards.
Interesting.
Okay. But when it's 28 degrees, the ball doesn't go as far.
It's also probably going to be windy.
Most it is going to be windy. No, they're talking about winds maybe about 15 miles an hour.
So you're going to have wind, it's going to be cold, and it possibly is going to be snowing or raining.
Yeah, the snow part,
But it is all going to add in to factor into his kicking. And if that's a big part of SMU's game...
I'm just saying the scoring range may be a bit different in the game for them.
Instead of having to get to, say, the 45 for him, you may have to get to the 40 for him. You may have to get to the 35.
Oh, no, you're going to have to get the ball to the 30-yard line.
Yeah, but that's the point, is that it shrinks down how close you have to get, so it means you have to get farther if you're SMU if it's late in the game. So it makes it more difficult for them. It changes the math equation, basically, on the plays.
No, it's a big. It plays a role. The crowd plays a role.
Yes.
Okay. The crowd plays a role. They have played on the road before 156,000 fans total this season. Now, you're going to see some things different on Saturday. One, the opposing team is allowed 3,500 tickets. 1,500 will be in the lower bowl. Then the other 2,000 are in the upper deck. Normally, that number is all in the upper deck.
But it'll be
But they'll be able to get. So if you see SMU fans in the lower bowl, that's because they bought their tickets. They're allowed to be there. The SMU band will be here. When SMU was introed, okay, if anybody went to the Big Ten championship game, expect that to be the format of what you're watching on Saturday, but it's just going to be in Beaver Stadium.
It's a neutral site game, just.
Right. But it's the same format that they're using. In other words, Oregon came out, the whole blah, 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 blah. We're Oregon, da-da-da, and they come running out in the field, right? And then Penn State, da-da-da-da, and we are Penn State. You know, the players do their deal. Then they run out onto the field, fire, brimstone, the whole deal, right? All right. Well, there's going to be an intro for SMU.
Yeah.
Okay? Just get used to it. Roll with it. Who cares? Who cares? Okay? It's third down. I figured at some point you know how to scream.
Yeah.
But if you need the public address announcer to tell you to get loud, I don't get why you're there. Okay?
Yeah.
If you need instructions about when to get loud, you don't know the game. And I remember in the ACC championship game, I watched the tape on Saturday night because obviously the game was played at the same time as Penn State and Oregon. So I didn't get a chance to watch it. So I watched the whole thing. And they had 54,000 people there, so there were about maybe 20,000 empty seats. I'd say 40,000 of that happened to be Clemson fans, maybe 35,000. And Jennings was like this, trying to hear. Imagine 100,000 people.
All
They haven't
rooting
seen
against him.
100,000 people. 50,000 is the high number for the year. The second highest number they've been on the road this year is 36,000 in Virginia.
That is about what? The size of one end zone here?
Right? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Noise level. And I realize when it's cold, it's a little more muffled. I got that because people are wearing gloves and trying to clap or
But
whatever.
still, it
Right? It's still noise. And it's, they're going to have to try and duplicate that. So,
it's going to be loud. It's going to be cold. It's going to be
right. But Penn State has to play.
Yeah.
You have to execute in this scenario. You have to be the team that executes. Right? It doesn't matter where the location of the game is. Okay? In terms of the ability to execute. But if the crowd can throw them off the game, get those tackles to move, because they even did something they rarely do in the Clemson game. This is a neutral field Clemson game. Now, I know there are more Clemson fans because it's a 2-hour ride from Clemson to Charlotte. It's 2 hours. But they huddled a couple times. They don't huddle. Well, if they're going to huddle, that changes the pace of their game. But the bottom line is you still have to block, you still have to tackle, you still have to make catches, you still have to make plays, and then go from there. Right? It's going to be cold for you too. Right? But it's not like Penn State has not practiced outside in cold weather. They have practiced outside in cold weather. They have practiced in rain. They've practiced in snow. Now, did they practice outside yesterday? No. They did not. All right? It's Sunday. It's a walkthrough. There's business you have to take care of. It's not going to really do much to help them tomorrow and Wednesday when they practice because temperature's going to be in the low 40s. Right? You can go out there. At least
it's going to be warm.
Right. Well, you can go out there and get a feel for being outside and practicing outside. So, I mean, there are going to be certain periods I'm sure James would want them to go out. But there's nothing that's going to duplicate Saturday. Nothing. And you're saying, well, you can go outside Friday. No. Friday is Fast Friday. It is always, always, always done indoors. Right? That's a sanctuary practice. Okay? The doors are closed. This is what we do. Okay. And then you go from there. But, I mean, those are all the things. Now, Ethan Grunkemeyer is going to be the backup quarterback. And, I mean, I can only go by what I see him practice. Man, I love the way he plays the game. But that's based on practice. Okay? There'll be people that say, well, how come they never put him in a game? Well, you know exactly which game are you going to put him in. I mean, maybe Kent State, maybe. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, they're trying to, they're also trying to get reps for Beau along the way. I mean, nobody knew what Drew was going to do.
Yeah.
But now they have a better idea of what Drew was going to do. Okay?
And again, on the Drew point, just so everyone has an idea, as of right now, the quarterbacks for next year's draft, 2026 draft versus this year's, you've got like Arch Manning, who hasn't played too much yet. You've got Nico Yamavea, my bad. And you've got, that's pretty much it. Like, there's not a lot of quarterbacks in next year's draft. And as we know, quarterbacks always command a high value. So if you're Drew and you have one extra year of experience, it could be a positive thing for you. There's people discussing now Dylan Gabriel going high in this draft because, again, he stayed for an extra year, played incredibly well, and his value shot up.
But
Drew's in the same ballpark right now.
Gabriel, you can't change. And I was talking to Jerry Allen, who does the play-by-play for Oregon. Said, I know he's mad at Oklahoma because he felt his draft grade wasn't great last year. He isn't. Gabriel is an excellent college quarterback, but he's got one part you can't change. You can't change that you're 5'11".
Yeah.
I mean, and that's difficult in the league. I mean, that's why I always gave Doug Flutie credit. Doug Flutie's not very big, right? I don't know if you've ever talked to him. He speaks highly of you.
I mean, I know another small quarterback who played really, really well in the NFL. He was 6 foot tall. Used to be a Purdue Boilermaker.
Oh, Drew Brees.
But there's only so many smaller quarterbacks. Like, you've got Drew, you've got Flutie, Kyler Murray.
You have to do a good job of opening up a lane as an offensive line to make sure that your quarterback, when he's not great in stature,
and also you have to be able to, as a 6 foot or under quarterback, know how to throw over guys who are like, how tall is Vega Ioane? How tall is Vega?
6'3".
Vega 6'3" is like, what's his name? Mekhi Becton for the Jets. He's what, 6'8"?
Yeah, that's a big guy.
But you have to learn to throw over guys that size. Like, you have to learn how to throw over these people, which is a skill. It's a real skill to have.
Yeah.
So if he has that a level of ability, then it's a good thing to have.
No, I'm just saying that's the one thing he won't be able to overcome. He throws a beautiful ball. He's an accurate ball. He knows how to run, when to run. But, boy, I find it hard to believe he's a first-round pick only because there's that one area that he can't help. It's genetics, right? He's not America's tallest quarterback. I mean, even, we talk about Beau. Beau's 6'2", right? So, look, there are 8 billion people on the face of the earth. You know what's interesting? 8 billion people, and there are really only 15 good NFL quarterbacks.
It is tough to be a quarterback. It is tough to be one of the best quarterbacks.
Like, do I think Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback? No, I do not. But he's one of the top 15. He's just not one of the top 5 guys. And I think he's very good, but he's not great. Oh, look at his numbers. Please stop with all the numbers, okay? Do you have eyeballs? Okay, know what you're watching. Okay, the decision-making. Barkley has meant more to him. I mean, he'll tell you Barkley's the MVP because he knows it's meant more to him than anybody on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
And now Watt's out. I'm talking about teams you know nothing about here. But before we move on, we do have to mention the Penn State women's volleyball team.
Yes,
is going to the KFC Yum Center in Louisville because they are in the Final Four. They beat Creighton in 5 sets, won the 5th 15-7 last night at Rec Hall. Dramatic, hard-fought, exactly what you would expect. Hold on a second. Location of game? Oh, Rec Hall. Location of college football playoff game? Oh, Beaver Stadium. Home court, home field means something.
It was a whiteout, I believe.
It was.
Yesterday against Creighton. It was loud. It was hectic, crazy. I mean, I've been seeing all the different photos and videos come out. It was crazy. And now Penn State is going down to Louisville. I believe they get Nebraska, if I'm not mistaken. They're playing in Louisville, but they get Nebraska, the number 1 team in the nation. So that should be a real fun one.
Which they won in 4 here. Again, it was here.
So that is going to be a fun matchup to see happen in the Final Four. That game, try to pull up the exact time of it. I believe it is going to be happening this coming Thursday night. Thursday night, 6:30, and the championship is going to be on Sunday, the 22nd at 3 p.m. on ABC.
Perfect.
So that is, Penn State is hoping that the Nittany Lions beat the Huskers, and if they do, there is a chance they get Pitt, which would be just so much fun.
They played Pitt earlier in the year down at the Pete. They did not play at Fitzgerald. They played at the Pete. Huge crowd, vocal. Not exactly complimentary to Penn State. Shocking.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Shout out to them. Incredible.
So, but here's congratulations. I mean, Katie has done an incredible job while fighting through personal issues, as we all know about breast cancer. The staff has done an incredible job. The players have been great.
They're killing it.
It's been the crowd. I mean, it's like the connectivity between coaching staff, player, and crowd is incredible here. So, all right. So I wanted to at least mention that because that is a phenomenal achievement.
They deserve their flowers.
Yes, they do.
They have been incredible. And so shout out to them. It's a pretty tame week sports-wise for Penn State. It's pretty much no one plays until Thursday. Thursday is the first real game for women's volleyball. And then it's Saturday. Then the SMU game. You've got Penn State. The men's basketball team is going to be in Philly against Drexel.
Yeah. And of the 3 non-con games, that's the toughest one.
Yes. And then you've got a bunch of wrestling matches. So it should be a week of sports lists week, and then the weekend is when sports happen.
And look, it's also a bowl week too. There'll be bowl games, so we got a lot going on.
Yeah,
we will have. Let's see. I'll be here tomorrow because we have a quarterback club now on Wednesday. So we'll have guests on Wednesday, and then I'll be with you Thursday and Friday.
Yeah. May I make a comment real fast? Change the subject.
Sure.
So I was thinking about this last night. And it's something we've talked a lot about.
This is always a bad start.
It is always a bad start.
Thinking about it last night.
Because I have seen all over social media people talking about the NBA and ratings.
Yes, it's bad.
It is bad. And the NBA Cup is going on, and the projections were, the rating is going to be bumped up, they're going to be helped, all these things. They have not been.
No, of course not.
And this is where my brain goes to what we have seen in the past ratings-wise from the NBA when it was doing well, which was 2019. That Warriors-Raptors series was incredible to watch. But the problem that was created in that series, I know we've talked a little bit about it, is Kawhi Leonard.
Yep.
The rest of the NBA saw Kawhi Leonard be rested for a good chunk of the season, play a minutes restriction, and then that team go on and win the championship. And teams took that as gospel. They said, okay, well, if the Raptors can do it with Kawhi for 1 year and also bring these mishmash of players in, the Serge Ibakas of the world, if they can make it work, so can we.
No.
The problem is Kawhi is one of one. He's an offensive weapon, a defensive weapon. Number two, the Warriors had ridiculous injuries. Durant, Achilles, Clay, ACL, then an Achilles later. And then also, I believe Steph got hurt. Draymond got hurt in that series. And also, Kawhi made one of the most incredible shots ever to get them there. against the Sixers, in which he hit a shot that bounced 4 times on the rim, and I will never forget watching it happen on the TV of like, oh my God, he missed. Oh my God, he made it. So the NBA took that as gospel and said, okay, cool. We're going to try and do this with all of our stars.
Yep.
And so now on a night-to-night basis, we don't know when players are going to play. And I know he has knee issues. Sixers fans are going to say that to us. Joel Embiid has stated he's not going to play back-to-backs, and he's going to take games off. And same with Paul George. And Kawhi is still in that situation.
Since Joel Embiid joined the Sixers, you know what the percentage of games he's played in?
Not a lot.
58%.
Not good enough.
There you go.
And you look at just everybody. The only players who seem to play every game are, unless they break their hand, are Jalen Brunson with the Knicks. You see Luka plays pretty much all the time unless he's got a legitimate injury.
Yep.
Luka plays. Kyrie. Giannis is basically putting the Bucks on his back and playing every game with a body that's beaten down.
I mean, you rarely see Tatum and Brown out.
Yeah, you never see them out. But then you have the rash of stars who do sit out a lot of games.
Yep.
The fact that whatever was going on with LeBron was happening, and JJ Redick was asked about LeBron, and he was like, when is LeBron coming back? And JJ said, I don't know. Like, that's bad. Ty Lue had to deal with it for 4 years, being asked, when is Kawhi back? When is Paul George back?
Right.
4 years of it. And he looked broken after that. And then finally now it's just Kawhi, but he's not the talk of the town anymore because everyone else has these problems. Joel Embiid is a question mark every single game and probably will be for the rest of his career.
Right.
The fact that we're at that point with them, the Pelicans have about 50 injuries. Like, we're sitting here and they try and load manage players. If you have an injury, you have an injury.
Yep.
But if you are trying to then load manage these guys in this way, it's ridiculous.
Well, first,
I would rather them sit out the extra 3 games, get fully healthy, and then go, versus sit out and then inch their way back over like a 3-week stretch. It's ridiculous.
When do you ever hear about load management in the NHL?
You don't.
When do you ever hear about load management in the NFL?
You don't.
Okay. Major League Baseball is a 162-game season, so you do want to rotate some guys out. Hey, he's played 10 games in a row. It's 85 degrees, and guess what? Today he may not play, but he's in the field. He's the DH, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, so that makes sense. That's why you have 4 outfielders. That's why you have the extra infielder. That you can do stuff like that where guys can get a break once in a while. I have felt that in the seasons where Aaron Judge was chasing records, the 2 seasons where he was chasing records, this past season and the season when he hit 62 for the American League record, that when he got to the postseason, he was a tired player.
Because he had played way too many games and played consistently.
Because he kept playing every game. Like the last 2 months, he played every game trying to get to the record. And I think that is... there's some validity in 162 games. But these guys, okay, the NBA has hurt itself by a lack of professionalism, okay, a lack of giving a darn about the consumer, lack of giving a darn about the ticket holder, okay. There's that story last year about the father and son going to the Cavaliers game. And it was going to be the 7th straight game for Steph Curry and the other players on the team. Right? And so Steve Kerr sat them. And he said, yeah, I feel really bad about that, but I've got to do what's best for da-da-da-da-da. Okay, you're playing basketball. Okay, we're not out there with a jackhammer in the middle of the street when it's 15 degrees. Okay? It doesn't go over well with people who have a work ethic. Oh, we work hard. Excuse me. You were a no-show tonight. Okay? Okay? You're not playing 365 days. You're playing 82. Now, I understand if you end up playing 70, 75 games. I got that part. I got that part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Especially in a tough stretch, whatever. But you owe it to all these people out there. So this goes back to your original question about ratings. I'll never forget 2 years ago, maybe 3, the Nets were playing the Sixers. Big game.
Mm-hmm.
Big game. Right? Playoff implications, positioning, the whole thing. And 8 of the Nets sat out. This was the ESPN national game of the week on a Wednesday night. It was a Wednesday night game. 8 of them sat out. Durant sat out. Harden sat out. Right? Who was the third guy for them?
Harden?
No, I mentioned Harden,
Irving,
Durant. Kyrie Irving sat out.
Yeah.
Right? There were 3 of them. You're like, this is your national TV game of the week? And the announcers are like, I don't know anything about this guy. Right? I think he played in the G League. It's like, what are we doing here? Hey, when you treat your fans as a complete afterthought, which is what the NBA players do. No, I got to do what's best for me. No, you signed up to do this. So since you signed up to do it, and by the way, they are giving you an exorbitant amount of money to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you are not out there getting like $15 an hour. Okay? When Bernie Sanders fights for the minimum wage, you aren't one of the individuals he's thinking about. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay? As I've said many times, and I'll say it one more time. You know who needs load management? Single mother of 3. She needs load management. Wakes up every day, Monday, here we go. Got to get the kids, got to get myself ready for the day, have to get the kids ready for school, have to make sure the kids have their breakfast. Okay, I got to get kids to the bus stop. Now I got to run, I got to work. I got to make sure I'm back in time. Kids get back from the bus stop. Maybe they have to go to daycare or something. Got to pick them up at daycare. And then I got to bring them home. By the way, I have to make sure that they have dinner. Hey, let's go over the homework. The whole thing. I got maybe 10 minutes to myself. I'm too tired. I go to sleep. Guess what I do on Tuesday? The same thing I did on Monday. Trying to make ends meet, trying to get it done, trying to take care of 3 children, trying to bring them up the right way, trying to give them be the best mom possible, the best provider possible. That person needs load management, not a multi-million-dollar basketball player playing 82 times out of 365 days in a year. And the NBA has killed itself by basically looking at everybody and go, hey, I'm more important than you. Well, actually, I pay money, so here's one for you. I'm going to save my money. I'm not going. Oh, and by the way, you're not playing in today's game on TV? I'm not watching that either. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
That is what they're saying. Right? And it's plain and simple over and over and over again. The ratings keep going down for the NBA. Let's face it, the NBA Cup, I said it when they brought it out last year, I said that's a gimmick. All right? When you start resorting to gimmicks, you do have a problem with your league.
Yeah. Changing subject again, Drew Aller just posted over on his social media, this season has been the most fun I've ever had in my entire life playing football, and I'm so proud of what we've accomplished as a team. I know there's still more work to do, which is why I look forward to making more memories with my teammates this year and beyond, are the key words there. But right now, we are solely focused on the opportunity we have as a team in front of us. We are, and this confirms all the breaking news now that, as we discussed earlier, Drew Aller is going to be returning for the 2025-2026-ish Penn State season. It's weird. I know college football technically extends to 2026. It depends on schedules, but it's 2025-26 season.
Right.
And Penn State posted a Drew Aller getting excited graphic against Iowa. So it feels like, yeah, he's back.
I mean, look, that probably played a lot into what Beau's mindset was. If Drew were going, say he decided he was going to go, right? Then I think that, it may have played a role in what Beau was thinking. You just wish, the system is just so bad. I mean, whomever put this system together and I vote yes. What do you mean you voted yes? Okay, you don't put the early signing period in the postseason of your season. Okay, college basketball has already shown you how to do it. Just do it their way. Do it in August. Okay? Guys that don't want to sign, Portal, got to be a different.
Beau even talked about it in his decision. He was like, it is an impossible decision, which it is. He has to decide between having a future as a real quarterback and trying to make it to the NFL and make his dream come true, or he has to not. This system, he's screwed.
This system is an embarrassment to sports. And I've said that over and over again. It's an embarrassment that you have people sit down and they get in a room and they start making, and here's the reason why they make these decisions. Okay? They make the decisions because they never wanted to give the players any money. I'm talking about the power brokers. I don't mean the James Franklins of the world and people like that. They've always been in support of, hey, the players are out there, they're the product, they need to get something. But the NCAA never wanted to. So they kept kicking the can down the road, and avoiding doing anything right about it, and then having to react over and over again. And when you react instead of being proactive, you make mistakes, and the NCAA has a stupid system because they've reacted and made nothing but mistakes about it. Now, it wouldn't have changed. It wouldn't have changed Beau's decision about going, but it would have maybe changed his decision about staying for the playoff.
Yes. So now we've discussed Beau earlier on the show. If you want to go back and listen to that, you can head back earlier to find that detail about it. We talked a little about Aller, but the next piece of this, because I guess it's my favorite time, is just discussing the possibility. I know you live in the real world. I live in my fairy tale world all the time.
Oh God. Here we go.
Something like this happening. We now know the effects of it on Beau Pribula. What does this do for somebody like a Nick Singleton, a Katron Allen, or any of the receivers when it comes to you're deciding to stay or go?
Well, staying or going for those guys is a decision on the NFL draft. It's not.
But would at least for them, or maybe even players who are considering entering a portal at different positions that will be affected by it. Let's say it's a receiver.
Well, you've already had Jerry Cross enter, for example, tight end. Jerry knew he wasn't playing here. I mean, it's with the depth of tight end Penn State has.
Oh, my God.
It was
Luke Reynolds, Rapplier is coming up as well. And, of course, the dude who's currently there.
Khalil Dinkins. And the guy that, I think,
was seventh in Heisman voting?
Yeah, I think of what game it was. It was down the stretch. I said, Penn State has trips to one side, Warren is to the near side. I said, which is the equivalent of trips.
Yeah. Purdue, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, it was the Purdue game.
Yeah. But it's, what is it? I mean, everybody has to make their own decision as to what's best for them. Idealistically, all of us would like to see people make decisions as to what's best for the team, but is 2024, and that's just not how it works anymore. And so, that's why over the years, I've been adaptable and I've adjusted all. It doesn't mean I like everything, but you got to adapt.
Yeah. And along this same note is, for me, the portal. I know Penn State is not super duper, they're not what a lot of, even Oregon team was, where they're going in Oregon plucking players left and right out of the portal.
Yeah.
Penn State hasn't done it to the extent Oregon has.
Yeah.
If you are a player and you get a similar NIL package from Penn State or another school, and let's say you're a receiver, let's say you're a Tez Johnson from back last year, and hypothetically you want to go to a good team, I feel like it would be beneficial if you're like, I have Aller there. Aller, a guy who is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football, showed he's a great quarterback this season, and I can be a star with that team. Sure. I can play in Beaver Stadium in front of 100,000 people, and I know this team can make the playoff because they just did it, and they also did the Big Ten championship game. This feels like it's going to have a positive cascade effect on the future of this team for the next year.
Under the category of, I'm just going to leave this sentence out there.
Yes.
It's not as if people weren't visiting this weekend that play positions where they get benefit being around Drew Aller. I will leave it at that. I mean, we'll go from there. I'm not going to mention names.
You don't have to, but it's. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, we understood what was going on. It's portal season's open. The portal's open. James Franklin said they're going to be aggressive and getting guys in the portal.
Yep.
He said as much.
Yep.
And players have been posting photos of them being like, look at that, I'm in a flight into State College, or I'm driving, look at that, Beaver Stadium's right there. Or there's certain players posted photos of them taking photos from a hotel being like, it's cold outside. And it's like, yeah, it's not what it was out west or down south. It's a little bit colder here this weekend. I hope every player got that real nice warm jacket on because it was cold and snowy and hectic.
Yeah.
So
guess what? A good chunk of the year it's not. So
yeah. But this is
so that's what it means.
Mm-hmm.
So
and this is a big thing. And again, Drew is now going to go into next season as one of the Heisman favorites. It's going to be a conversation, and if anyone's surprised, it's going to be. It's not. It's not a surprise. He's coming in. He's what's Drew now? Is this going to be his senior season?
Yes, coming up
senior season.
It would be his fourth year coming up.
So he is in his fourth year in the college game,
right? And
there's not a lot of quarterbacks who are going to get there. There's thoughts maybe Quinn Ewers gets to that point. There is a chance Quinn Ewers stays. If he stays, I have no idea what's going to happen with Texas with Arch Manning.
Ewers is at best a third round pick.
Yeah, which is why the discussion is, could he stay and get more money in NIL?
Yep.
And there is a rumor on the street, and it's been talked about all over social media by everybody, of apparently a Power 4 school offered him about $4 million at least to come on over to town and leave Texas, which is a lot of money. Because Texas now, like the whole deal with Quinn Ewers staying last season was he gets to stay one more year. Arch doesn't have to play. You can rest Arch and give him reps like they have this season where Ewers gets hurt, Arch plays, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
The problem is, how tenable is that? We're seeing that with Drew and Beau, where like it's just tough. If you're a quarterback, you want to play, you want to get experience, you want to make it to the NFL. It's an impossible decision if you're Beau. If you're Arch Manning, who wouldn't want you? And if Quinn Ewers stays, does Texas want him to?
I don't know.
I
don't reside there.
It opens up a whole can of worms. But in the case of Drew Aller, he is going to be here for this next coming season. And at the same time as him announcing this, winter has arrived in Beaver Stadium, and they are starting to clean the snow off of the field. They're slowly getting there.
Right, but it's going to be 49 tomorrow. You know, it's
going to rain, I think, at some point, so it'll melt away.
There's no issue. This is not like when they had the 18 inches of snow before the Michigan game in '95. You're like, oh my goodness, it was a Wednesday. Like, what do we do now? I mean, this is a little bit different. So it'll warm up, and then it'll get cold. Again, it's 73 today in Dallas. Time and temperature.
Just a tad warmer.
Okay. So I'm going to go over and hear James. He's got his press conference at noon here. Go over and give a listen to him and go from there. By the way, on Wednesday's show, we'll preview that ahead of time. Rich Phillips, who's the play-by-play voice of SMU, is going to be one of the guests.
Very nice.
Just so you know. So we'll talk with him. And then Ray Didinger, the Hall of Famer, on how well the Eagles played yesterday against the Steelers. Jerry Valeri in massive depression about the game, which really, in some ways, was kind of enjoyable to see. So he was more upset about T.J. Watt getting hurt. He says, it's just a game. They lost Watt. I said, Jerry, you're not good enough to win a playoff game with him.
And that's where we'll leave it.
Thank you for listening to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, a 7 Mountain Media production. Come back at 11 every weekday for analysis of the latest happening in the sports landscape, from college football to European soccer.